Coming up next on Good Morning El Paso, one man is dead after a stabbing in northeast El Paso. Our round-the-clock crew is getting new details from the scene right now. Racial tensions are boiling over in Wisconsin after a white police officer shoots and kills an unarmed black teenager.
An unarmed black teenager is shot by a white police officer, this time in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm Susan Solney, and I'll have that story coming up.
And we have some good news for drivers in El Paso. That's coming up as well. Good Morning El Paso starts right now.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
Good morning, everyone. It's 6 o'clock. Welcome back to Good Morning El Paso. I'm Hillary Floren. We'll start right now with some breaking news. This week begins with a homicide investigation that is happening right now in northeast El Paso. Police confirmed to us one person is dead after a stabbing that happened last night. It happened on the 8900 block of Robert Drive, and that's where ABC7's Denise Olivas is live from the scene with the very latest. Good morning.
Good morning, Hillary. Police spokesman Daryl Petrie tells us it's still too early to tell if it was some sort of domestic dispute or if it's even gang related. Right now, investigators still out here at the scene, and they will be out here for another several hours. What we do know right now is that the victim, said to be in his late 20s to early 30s, was found on the sidewalk by police. He had stab wounds to his upper torso. He was taken to University Medical Center where he later died. Again, there is no one in custody at this hour, but police are still also talking to witnesses here in the area. We do want to point out that this is a residential area, several homes, even some apartment complexes here right behind me. So right now they can't tell us if the incident possibly started inside one of these homes behind me. But again, the Crimes Against Persons unit and investigators will be out here for about another 3 to 4 hours. While they gather more information, we've actually seen some investigators taking several pictures along the sidewalk and on the street. As soon as we get any more information, of course, we will pass it along. But for now, we're live in northeast El Paso. Denise Olivas, ABC7.
Thanks so much, Denise, for that new information. We'll check in with you again in a bit. In the meantime, let's go ahead and check in with Crystal. She's got an updated look at our rain chances for today.
And those rain chances definitely in the forecast, just not quite yet this morning. Here's a look at our clouds and radar map. We're actually mostly clear outside right now. We do see just a spot of green picking up near Van Horn, but otherwise clearing skies. It's later today we'll have extra clouds build, and then those scattered rain chances move in, kind of like what we saw yesterday on our Sunday. Today we're at 50 degrees this morning in El Paso, winds just 3 miles per hour. Las Cruces cooler, it feels like 41. We're actually at 44 degrees and clear to mostly clear outside. Now, as we mentioned, a little later today we've got that chance of rain, but does it extend into the following days? We'll check in on those rain chances just a few minutes away.
All right. Thanks so much, Crystal. Looking forward to it. Now let's go ahead and get to more headlines. The time now is 6:03. We have a lot of news to get to, but first, our top story. Let's go ahead and get to that. Doña Ana County's State of the County address is today. ABC7's Josie Ortegon right now has a preview.
There are several challenges that residents and county officials are aware of. Just last week, Julia Brown spoke to county commissioners about raising the sales tax at its maximum level because of what she calls a crisis.
We've just reached 47 vacancies in the detention center.
A crisis so bad, the Doña Ana County Juvenile Detention Center was close to shutting down on Friday. Brown told ABC7 there's a poor ratio of corrections officers to detainees, and unless there are funds to help hire more, the problem will continue to grow. The facility remains open for now, but stakeholders such as the District Attorney's Office and the Doña Ana County Sheriff's Office will need to meet for the next several weeks to come up with a plan. Brown says her proposal to raise the sales tax at its maximum level is the solution. Her proposal would raise the sales tax by 0.3%, and it would cost consumers about 38 cents per $100 spent and raise $12 million in new revenue. The county is also facing a different issue of its kind, the scandal surrounding County Treasurer David Gutierrez. He's accused of offering an employee $1,000 in exchange for sex. Gutierrez has refused to step down. In an interview last week, Brown told ABC7 Gutierrez should do the right thing and resign.
Treasurer is operating now apparently under some self-imposed delusion that he didn't do anything wrong.
Though it's unclear what exactly will be discussed during tomorrow's address, Brown tells ABC7 Chairman Billy Garrett will discuss policy initiatives, and she'll discuss departmental accomplishments and policy issues that commissioners face in the fiscal year.
That speed round should be
That was ABC 7's Josie Ortegon reporting. Though it's unclear what items will be up for discussion during today's address, Brown tells ABC 7 Chairman Billy Garrett will talk about policy initiatives, and she'll discuss departmental accomplishments and policy issues that commissioners face in the next fiscal year. We'll be streaming the State of the County address live at KVIA.com. The meeting will begin at 12:15, so we'll also be giving you live updates on ABC 7 at noon today as well. Doctors at El Paso Children's Hospital are speaking out this morning. In a statement, pediatricians and pediatric specialists say they'd like to share their perspective on the financial dispute between Children's and UMC. UMC says Children's owes it more than $90 million, but the doctors write, quote, "The financial situation has us infuriated and heartbroken. We are fighting to preserve and advance care for the kids of El Paso, and the fact that there is such a divisiveness disgusts us. We know that there have been unfair practices involved which have contributed to this financial crisis. There has also been an unwillingness to negotiate and media mudslinging by UMC. We know mistakes have been made on both ends, some more readily admitted than others. Regardless, we want to say to the parties involved, get your act together and put the kids first. Do the right thing. We have an obligation to this community and to our children," end quote. The statement is signed by more than 50 doctors already. We have posted the letter online, so if you'd like to read it, just go to KVIA.com. We are also still following the shooting that injured 2 people Saturday afternoon in northeast El Paso. It happened just before 4 o'clock at 5315 Hondo Pass. That's at the Casita Linda Mexican restaurant. Investigators say the men were fighting with an employee at the restaurant when the fight moved outside to the parking lot. From there, it quickly escalated, resulting in shots fired. The 2 victims were taken to an area hospital with gunshot wounds. Police have not released the names of those involved or charged anyone. The investigation continues. And in other news today, another American city is in the grip of growing racial tensions this morning. A 19-year-old man was shot and killed in Madison, Wisconsin by a police officer who says the man tried to attack him. ABC's Susan Salney reports that the officer has now been placed on administrative leave, and community leaders are urging protesters to show restraint.
Good morning. This shooting comes against the backdrop of so many similar cases, the highest profile incident being the shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson last year.
The idyllic college town of Madison, Wisconsin, on edge this morning after a weekend of protests and mourning for an unarmed black 19-year-old, Tony Robinson, who was shot and killed by a white police officer, 45-year-old Matt Kenny. On Friday night, Officer Kenny responded to multiple disturbance calls about Robinson's behavior.
Outside yelling and jumping in front of cars. Apparently, Tony hit one of his friends.
Officer Kenny forced his way into a home where the authorities say Robinson assaulted him. He opened fire. Robinson was under supervision after pleading guilty to armed robbery last year.
Don't pass judgment on this young man. Don't pass judgment on law enforcement officials. The facts will come out.
The police chief was among those remembering Tony Robinson over the weekend. He said the city of Madison is trying to avoid so many of the missteps that caused anger in Ferguson, Missouri. Susan Salney, ABC News, Washington.
Crowds massed at a bridge in Selma, Alabama Sunday to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the civil rights marches to Montgomery. Thousands of people crossed the bridge over the 2 days of commemorations, including President Barack Obama and some of the civil rights leaders whose marches in 1965 led to the passage of the Voting Rights Act. Today also marks another 50th anniversary. It's the anniversary of U.S. combat troops arriving in Vietnam. 2 battalions made up of hundreds of Marines arrived in Da Nang on March 8, 1965. They were sent in to help the South Vietnam government defeat communist forces. The U.S. sent in more and more troops over the next few years, peaking at 543,000 in April of 1969. Anti-war sentiment in the U.S. grew as troop numbers increased. The last American troops left the country in March 1973. More than 58,000 U.S. troops lost their lives in that war. Well, it is 6:09. Let's take a live look at traffic right now. Show you what it looks like out there. This is I-10 and Horizon. Things are looking good. We had some construction earlier this morning, but things are all cleared up now throughout the borderland. Still ahead, a flight around the world, but this plane won't be using 1 drop of fuel. Details coming up. Also, here in the borderlands, some much-needed relief for drivers on the east side. Trust me, you'll be glad to hear this news. And more good news with your forecast. Crystal Cly has a look at that. I say good because it doesn't have a lot of wind in it.
Yeah, we're not talking extreme winds, but we are talking a couple changes by your afternoon. We'll look at those coming up after your break.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.